Well, good morning. It's a nice wintry day today. It's actually the coldest day of the year so far. It's minus 17 this morning. Morning, Ben. Which doesn't seem that cold. Actually, I think over in Manitoba right now, they got like minus 35, minus 36. So we are spoiled. So we won't complain about minus 17, that's for sure. Actually, that's not true at all. I won't complain for 10 minutes. And then, oh, I stepped on the cat. I won't complain for 10 minutes until my toes get cold. And then you'll be sure to hear me complain. So we're just gonna run out to the grain shed and fill up our buckets with feed for the pigs. Chickens should be good. They were fed last night. I also got some kitchen scraps to give those pigs. It's pretty handy having your own garburator. Actually, well, once they're gone, even we can still give lots of that stuff to the chickens, so it's pretty awesome. Anyway, speaking of delicious treats, the place we get all our grain from, Bloom Enterprises, yesterday they had a video on how to make your own donuts. And I'm a sucker for donuts. Like, I should have been a cop. Really, I should have been. Anyways, I'm going to leave the link to that video down below. Go check it out. It's actually pretty awesome. So now that we're getting down to the remaining days of Piggy Paradise here, I've kind of given up with the blue scoop and just measuring out very carefully their ration. I've gone straight to the big old scoop shovel, and I just make sure these buckets are completely full. And then they've got more food in their trough than they can eat. So it's pretty much a free choice scenario. They'll just pound on a little bit of fat in these last few days here. I think we've timed it pretty well just right with the amount of feed we have left. The pigs are gonna go to the butcher Monday morning. So we'll feed them Sunday morning, trailer them Sunday afternoon, and then Monday down the road they go. If there's a little bit left, that's no worries, I'll feed it to the sheep. And if we do run out, well, they'll maybe get chicken feed for their last supper. Who knows? Anyways, it pretty much worked out to about 2,000 pounds of feed per pig over the period that we had them here. All right, well, we never fail to have a fail, it seems. So I was over at the pig pen. They gave them their dry feed. Fantastic. That's wonderful, right? Then I hopped in side by side and backed up. When I hit the brakes, I heard this bucket tip over, and I was like, oh no, because that was full of slop and like old milk. Vegetables. Now the back of the side-by-side, oh, and there's some cucumbers in there as well, so I'm gonna have some cleaning up to do. All right, so I'm back over here at the pig pen, and I have a bucket of water to give them. The sheep are obviously really noisy. I'm only gonna give them the one bucket for now. I just want to give them whatever they can drink as opposed to just leaving them with extra, because it's so cold it's just gonna freeze right away. But I'm gonna try and get in here, and it always makes me nervous undoing this latch because I got my fingers in here. These guys might like to nibble, but then go dump that water in that bucket. That's the complete rodeo, because pigs are kind of assholes when it comes to anything getting dumped in a trough. I'm gonna stomp all the ice that was left over from yesterday out of the bottom. Get these little ice cube cookies. I'll go ahead and get this filled up for them. That was actually the first day there wasn't a full-on wrestling match when water was dumped in their bucket. I don't know if that because they're on camera or what. They're just like, oh, I'm gonna be a sweetheart now. Most days it's like WrestleMania in a splash park. That's what it's like. And you're trying to dump that water, and they got their head right in there, bunting each other out of the way, and it gets in their ears, and then they just, and it's one heck of a mess. And by the time I'm done, like, I'm usually wetter than the inside of that water trough. All right, so I'm back behind the chicken house here, and I'm looking at the no-freeze chicken water. The no-freeze chicken water was designed to be inside the coop, where it's, usually 5 to 10 degrees warmer than it is outside. But because we were having a humidity issue a few weeks back, I decided to move it outside. Well, the weather was kind of fair. There's no point in even having it inside. But I was always curious, like, what's the minimum temperature this thing could get to before it was no longer the no-freeze chicken water? Well, the magic number is minus 17. It's completely frozen around the ring. The spigot's frozen. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this and put it back in the chicken house where it can defrost. Now, it's worthwhile noting that even though the no freeze chicken water did eventually freeze, I don't consider that to be a failure. I mean, this thing literally held its own in the wind and the snow and the ice right up until minus 17 degrees Celsius. So for like 90% of the world, that's pretty damn cold. But for here, obviously we can get a little bit colder. But this thing was never designed to sit outside for the entirety of the winter. It was meant to be inside. And when it got really cold inside the chicken coop, when it was minus 30, minus 35 outside, and it's only like minus 15 inside, would it be sustainable? And it proved itself a success. So, and of note too, when I picked the jug up and I went to move it, the whole jug is completely defrosted. It's just the tray at the bottom, which there's no way to really wrap that or insulate it or protect it from the elements. That's the only thing that actually really froze. So when it goes inside the chicken house, it sits up on a little stand about 4.5 inches tall. And yeah, within an hour, the whole thing was defrosted and it was back to business. So now to address why I actually removed the no freeze chicken water from the chicken house initially. So number one, I will always advocate for water outside of the chicken house because it is a source of humidity. Humidity is one of your number one enemies inside the chicken house. We know we have some really, really shitty weather here, and we needed to have a plan to be able to keep water inside the chicken house. With that said, we had unseasonably warm weather here. And when I say unseasonably warm, I'm talking 9 degrees Celsius in January. Folks, there's days in August where it doesn't hit 9 degrees here. So unseasonably is kind of an understatement. But that also came with some extraordinarily high relative humidity. I'm talking 90 to 95% relative humidity. We had lots of foggy days, very humid. We even had rain a number of days, late December and early January. It was just wild. So needless to say, the chickens were producing moisture, they were bringing moisture in, and things did progressively. Within 2 or 3 days, we saw a rapid shift in the environment in the chicken house. And the first thing we did was kick that no freeze chicken water outside, add more wood chips, stir everything up, get that composting action, cooking that moisture off, obviously create a whole bunch of ventilation in the coop, and dried everything up. Within a matter of 3 to 4 days, we were back to normal operation. But we also thought, like, well, it's nice outside. Let's just leave the water outside. There's no issue with it. And it wasn't until here the last 2 to 3 days where the weather has turned back to, and it's still higher than normal temperatures for the end of January. I would have expected us to be minus 25, closer to minus 30 for sure. But we'll take the minus 17. We'll take it for sure. So it's without a doubt, doesn't matter what day of the year it is, 365 days of the year, it's a unanimous decision. Our biggest challenge on this farm is water. All the time, knock it out of the park. Boom, every day it's water. Summertime, cows are out in pasture, how are we getting water? Sheep, how are we getting water? Wintertime, everything's froze, how are we getting water? And it always is something, we're always packing water. We're always running hoses. We're always having to drain hoses. We're having to defrost frozen water jugs. It's just, every day is a struggle. Anyways, with that said, I know the next thing that's coming is, because the no freeze chicken water is back in the chicken house and chickens are spilly drinkers, we're gonna end up with water on the floor of the chicken house. So I'm gonna see if I can find like a water pan that fits underneath of a hot water heater, or maybe not that specific thing, but something very similar that can sit underneath that water, and then whatever they spill, hopefully we can catch it and contain it, and it doesn't have to, tie up valuable wood chips or potentially create ammonia inside the chicken house. So anyways, there you have it. Water is our biggest challenge here on the farm. I'd be interested to know, what's your biggest challenge on your homestead, your farm? Let us know in the comments section down below. And for us, it's not always frozen water. Some days it's boiling water. And boiling water is what I'm gonna go after right now. I'm gonna go fix up a cup of tea. So we'll let you go. I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.